Hello, loves, and welcome to Enchanting Love Creations podcast, where I help to teach or make aware or what the reasoning is, with topics such as psychic mediumship, true crime, energy healing, metaphysical gardening, and so much more. Hi, my name is Jennifer. I am an accredited certified practitioner and teacher for my services that I provide and teach with my courses that are on my Academy website and sometimes on my YouTube videos and podcasts. If you have any suggestions that you want me to make a video about, please send that enlightenmystic@yahoo.com. Coming up on the pictures are going to be website links, including my email address and more. In the description section of where you are watching this video at, somewhere there, is going to be clickable links so you can easily access it, or you can copy and paste some of it and easily access it that way as well. After these quick little video clips, I will go ahead and either share a clip of the episode of what's to come up for this episode, or I'll just jump right into it. So, we'll see you then. Hey, loves, and welcome to episode 3 for the podcast. This one's going to be nothing but only paranormal and supernatural experiences, story, educational, awareness, etc., etc. So if those type of topics scare you, then this might not be the podcast for you. I'm just going to share some pictures and videos and different things along the way of my personal experiences. So you'll get to see some of what I'm talking about. And that's going to be on my YouTube playlist because that shows the audio and the video. So therefore, it's not just the audio like it is through the podcast channels and things like that. Like through my Buzzsprout and Spotify and all of that. So if you want to see the video or pictures or whatever that I put to show what I'm talking about, then like I said, you'll have to check out one of my YouTube channels, and I'll try to remember to put that in the description, so therefore you can check it out too. Before I get started, I do apologize if you've heard some of these stories or things that I'm talking about before. I am doing this as basically if somebody is new to my channels or to my podcast, and so therefore they get an idea of my backstory a little bit, as well as me being a teacher and always a student, and of mediumship, energy healing, metaphysics, things like that. And so I apologize if anything seems to be repetitive or whatever. I'm also going to try to remember to put my videos of my paranormal investigating at I haven't finished at my brother's house, but I did make like a little mini trailer kind of like thing. And then I'm hoping I still have those videos though, because we did end up deleting some to do a paranormal investigating at my old home and my old mobile home that I came from. And so I might have accidentally deleted those, I'm not sure yet. But then also, I still haven't made a video yet of going to this Ohio infirmary in Fairfield. I'll explain that in a little bit as well. Like I said, my brother's location at the Rainworth Lodge in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and then some other things like the Satchus Bridge in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Or actually, I'm trying to remember if that was in Gettysburg or if that was somewhere nearby. I can't remember fully, but I should have that information on the video. So all those videos, like I said, whether it's paranormal investigating or me showing things or whatever, like I'm doing my mediumship and I'm communicating with the spirits with the spirit box and all that kind of stuff, you'll get to see those videos in the description. So I'll try to have that there, including, like I said, a little bit of my brother's house. When I was outside, I was guided to go outside and talk about it a little bit. And little did I know that the male spirit that was greeting me, that was leaning against the tree, was greeting me and basically like, hi, let's communicate. And you could actually hear him a little bit in the video. So I'll try to remember when I get to those parts to explain it a little bit. And then, like I said, you'll be able to actually see the videos and all of that should be in the description. I had just remembered what I'm probably going to do to, instead of sharing like 1,000 videos, I'm going to go ahead and share the playlist that goes with the Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, with my brother's location and the bridge and all of that. I can't remember, but I might have put a little bit, well, no, because I didn't put that video together yet, but I can't remember if I made like a little trailer or something, or pictures, or anyways, from the other one that I was talking about earlier, the one that was in Fairfield County Infirmary, which is in Ohio. And so, anyway, okay. This bridge right here is the Sachs Bridge. S-A-C-H-S, if I remember correct, is the way to spell it. And that's, again, if you're watching the YouTube version of this, you'll be able to see these pictures that I'm talking about right now. And so that one, oh my God, were they talkative. I mean, talkative. I hope that I got like a cool conversation or whatever going, because that would be awesome. However, the reason why I had saved this picture a while back ago with it showing the snow is because this is the vision that I ended up getting. I think this was, I think it was after we had went there, like a year or so afterwards. And I don't remember every single detail, but what I do remember is I ended up getting a very clear vision. And it looked like this. It was snow time. And I'm assuming it would have been like the 1950s, because the cars looked a lot like the movie Grease. And I think that was the 50s. I could be completely wrong. But anyway. And so they were wearing a lot, probably about the same color. I think it was gray like that, actually, the more that I think about it in the movie. I'll have to look at that. But it was a thick Nomex type looking overall. Not overall, but like a thick Nomex type looking thing. And I could feel that they worked on cars, so they must have been mechanics. But it felt like they were Italian. No, hold on. I think they worked for the Italian or something, because I think they looked more Irish or something like that. And it was 3 men, and then I think somehow they were killed, I'm assuming by being shot or something. And I can't remember if they were thrown into the river or what. But it sounds like during the war, though, that a lot of the bodies were brought there or something, and then some of them ended up accidentally getting swept away by the flood or something like that. I could be wrong. I got to relook into all of that again. And I think my brother might have told me that. But I do know, as far as that vision, something like that had to have happened. Not every time is it 100% the way that I'll get the vision, but sometimes it is. Sometimes it's their way of saying, this is what happened to me, this is what it looked like, blah, blah, blah. But then sometimes it could be just like something out of there. Like I said, it could be the part of the car standing out, like a mechanic. The person might not even look like that. They might, but it was snow. They were wearing thick Nomexes during that time because it was very cold. And it was 3 males from what I remember. So I don't know if anybody gets to watch this and knows of any kind of information about that, please let me know. I would be greatly appreciative of that. I do know, I think they said during the CCW camp or whatever, or POW camp over there on the Appalachian Trails at, because we went there too. I did some paranormal investigating as well. I spoke with an Italian out there. I think he might have spoke Italian, but I was connecting with him as we do mediumship wise, where it's just kind of more of a knowing. That's the best way to explain it, like a telepathy type of thing. So it's like being transferred somehow to understand each other without knowing each other's languages. But he was out there, and I know I picked him up on the spirit box, but I can't remember what all he said or whatever. That, like I said, is on the playlist videos for when I had went out there as well. So if you have any information about that, please let me know. And like I said, be on the lookout on the description for the playlist. All right, this is part of the Rainworth Lodge, my brother's house, over there in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And that, down there, is where I had mentioned it recently, that there was this male and female couple. I could tell they were a couple. It's like one of those things, again, with mediumship wise, you just know. That's just, when you're reading into these kind of things, you have to, kind of tap in, like, were they a couple, were they this, were they that? And then sometimes you're lucky enough to where you don't have to ask these kind of questions, and it just automatically comes to you. And it was one of those type of things, like, I could feel automatically that this was a couple, and they were screaming for their life, like, literally. And so that's what I had heard. And my brother was like, well, maybe with it being late at night, maybe it was, across at the hotel. I was like, no, this was screaming for their life. And if something like that would have happened, the cops would have been called out and all that. And so, no. But I could tell it was coming from down there. Now, it might have came from the basement, because I could tell it was still like a muffled out type of, but it was still a scream, like bloody murder scream, which scared me to death. And that's the room that I was sleeping in, where took the picture at. That's to go downstairs, and that's where when I was talking about too the other night about the reptilian, that in November I had basically read into it for my brother. They had took some pictures, and so I had read into it for him a little bit. And then I was like deadly sick like the next day. I was like, what the heck? Which, of course, goes with the paranormal supernatural, because they can literally make you sick too. Anyway, and that's what ended up happening. And so I couldn't read into it any further. Well, we get up there in April the next year, and I go up there, and that's whenever all of a sudden we get back, and I think we came back from the mountains, and that's whenever the loudest, in my entire lifetime have I ever heard this either, the loudest running up the stairs, which would have been coming this way, like with how this picture is, it would have been coming up the stairs, coming towards this direction, into the room, basically, because it knew I was sleeping there. And what it would do is it would purposely just stand there all night long beside the bed beside me. And I'm like, could you please go away with your funky energy? And it wouldn't stop. And but they say that the rooms across over there was actually the worst rooms, but I wouldn't stay in there. Like, my soul was just like, nope. And I think it's because they knew that, like they say, that's probably the worst rooms over there. And that's why I was like, well, your best bet is either this room or the one downstairs. And my brother was staying in the room downstairs at the time, and I still had a feeling not even to sleep there. So I was like, well, I guess this is my best bet. And I mean, it was just pretty much kind of like one of those things, just like the house that I had lived at. It was a house numerology number 7. And those basically you pretty much don't want, or at least house-wise, maybe, well, it's a very spiritual type one, as far as like supernatural, paranormal, spirituality, and, things like that. You're going to get everything. Good, bad, gray, above, below, this, that, the other, everything. Every kind of angle you can think of. But they would never let me sleep over there either. And I don't think, any pictures of that. That's what I'm going to have to do, that I'm thinking of doing, like with these type of pictures that I'm showing y'all. I'm going to come behind, I don't know if maybe the next podcast or as soon as I'm able to do it, in one of the podcasts or an episode or something, I'm going to go ahead and try to share a lot of my backstory so you can kind of learn me a little bit as far as if you're my student or if you're going to become my student or if I'm your mentor or whatever you see me as, a friend or whatever. Hopefully it's good. And so, but yeah. All right, so, but yeah, this place was very, very fun, especially in the basement. And then I haven't got to go to the Red Barn. My guides were like, nope. And the White Barn, they were feeling the same way about that as well. But you'll see a video where I'm walking around outside. I'm close to the White Barn and that tree because I point out where that tree is. And I'm like, hey, this is where, when we first pulled into the driveway, and this is where he greeted me at. He was standing against this tree. He was leaning against it. And, but then after that, yeah, he pretty much was trying to communicate with me and everything. The barn, I had sent some things as well. I can't remember if I had mentioned it on the video or not. I'm trying to kind of just quickly mention a little bit of these pictures so we can keep going. I wish I had more pictures, but I don't. I have video, though. Like I said, you'll be able to see in the description for the playlist that will have these videos and more. But yeah, so he basically was trying to communicate with me and everything, and then, like I said, we have the mountain ones and all of that as well. So definitely check it out. I think if you like this type of stuff, you will definitely like it for sure. If you definitely want to check his place out, this place right here to investigate, because he has it to where you can paranormal investigate as well. You can stay the night and all of that. And I'll leave that info as well in the description. So if you're wanting to check it out, then definitely let me know. Eventually, in time, I'm going to probably do some live videos from here. But that's whenever I move up north and whenever I'm able to safely travel and all of that. So I got to keep working on myself and my son. We're doing the Naturally Recovering Autism program. And so once those doors open, I'm hoping many more doors will open and I'll be able to do some more paranormal investigating and things like that too. I don't want to go too crazy with it, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's what I'm hoping for. And so maybe in time you'll be able to meet me over there and we'll get to hang out and maybe do some readings together or whatever it is that you like. Maybe I can even do some energy healing sessions or teaching or even learn from you. So might even be both ways. We might teach each other and we both might learn from each other. So, but yeah, it will definitely be fun. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then he goes up there also to the Paracon shows, I think they're called. So I'm definitely hoping to check that out and have a booth as well. So I'll probably have my cards there, maybe my courses and, things like that. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but hopefully I get to meet y'all and, go from there. So, all right. And so in this picture, that is my niece and my son when they were both much younger. I can't say much younger. I mean, they're still real young. So, but she's a mom now. I think she's, if I'm correct, 16 or 17. And my little man, he was probably, I don't know if he would have been like 12 there, 13 there or something. But he's 24 now. So, but again, like I said, they're still young. So am I, hopefully. I did. I had him young too, like her, how she had her daughter young too. So, but anyway, let me see. Yeah, I got pregnant at 16 with my little man and then had him at 17. Now, this picture is before when we were moving into the mobile home that I had put on my parents' property. And I'm going to get more answers myself because I'm starting to kind of dig into these pictures now that I've finally been away from there long enough that I can actually, look into these energies and read into it finally. But at the moment, it seems like my hunch is correct from when I was being guided, because that's the thing. When we're being guided, it's always going to feel like you're always going to question yourself, regardless of how professional you are and all of that. It don't matter how long you've been doing this. It don't matter, because I know some people are like, oh, I got it. It don't bother me no more. So, bull honky. Anyway, it's because when you're getting information, you question it. You're just like, okay, is this my thoughts going wild, or am I actually being guided this? And so you have to, practically take steps into ensuring that you're being guided. Now, once you got the hang of it, you already know. You don't have to worry about the steps. The steps become natural, and that's where I've been at for a while now. The steps are natural for me. So I know when I'm being guided. I know, whenever, but it's still, regardless, like I'm saying, it's still always going to feel like, just, it's my daydream or something, But anyway, so what I was being guided back then is that, and it seems like from that point on, it's seeming to hold true. And I already know that it was legit guidance that I got. It's just, I can't prove this kind of stuff. So it's still more of a teaching, I guess you would kind of say, or however you want to see it. But what ended up happening is I was sitting outside, and I don't think I have any pictures to show of that at all either. Like I said, I still got to dig around. I'm going to take my time and try to figure out, how to make the next, when I make this type of video, to be able to, share these pictures and tell these stories and all of that like I'm doing right now. But when I was sitting outside there, basically that would be the door that you see in the background, where it would lead to the screened-in porch. And I was sitting out there one day, and just sitting there, and all of a sudden, I just get this clear vision. I'm still seeing the view, basically, that I'm looking at. I was like in a daze, but I'm still seeing, the front yard, and the ditch, and the trees, and the this, that, but yet, all of a sudden, I'm seeing all these werewolves. And I'm like, what? And I knew beside me, I was getting very uncomfortable during that whole process because when they appeared, I finally realized what was beside me. It's one of those things where it's like fight or flight, and you're like, please seriously get away, because you're like making me very uncomfortable, and I'm like scared to move at the same time. And I'm like, could you just go? And yet it was trying to cling to me because it was scared. And I'm like, what are you scared of? Why are you doing this to me? And so, during that time, that was, I think, not even a week, maybe, after my mom had passed. Or was it a little further than that? I can't remember. It was somewhere around in that time. And, it ended up where they don't like each other, obviously. I just thought it was like movies. What is it? Lycans, werewolves, whatever you want to call them. And vampires and stuff. I just thought it was just movies, fantasy, that kind of stuff. But from my experience, they don't like each other. Why? I don't know. But from that experience and everything, I was just like, oh, that's trippy. And so it was like, I could tell they wanted to protect me. But yet, they were pissed that it was by me. It was weird, hard to explain. Well, anyway, so that had happened. And before I get too deep, that's just another picture into the house and everything, or the mobile home. And just, just the energies. Like I said, it's just off there. But through the years, it gets worse. And that's the part that I'm talking about right now, where it gets worse at. And so it ended up, that's my niece also holding a bullfrog. I think it's a bullfrog or a regular frog. Probably a regular frog, I think it was. And yeah, that one was a regular frog. The ones coming up will be of me holding a bullfrog, a baby bullfrog. I think it was a baby. Baby-ish teen. I can't remember. Somewhere around in there. And then a big, huge mama or a daddy one. It was in the grass. But they were letting me get near them. And so I'll explain all that when that time comes too, because I have a few things I want to say about that, kind of like educational, like to help, give some answers that maybe if you're seeking something like that too, like it could maybe give you some answers or whatever. But yeah, so they're sitting there fighting and everything like that. And I'm like, dude, just stop. And then finally, it went away. I think it's because they had to charge. They came through the fence, charged after it, and then that's whenever it disappeared. Well, around that time, I think it was either the same day or around the same week, but I know it was very close together. And I'm doing some cleansing for the town and everything out there and all of that. And not just for the town, but like Southeast Texas is what it's called. And so it's a few cities together. I don't know if y'all heard that or not. That was good thunder. We're getting a thunderstorm now. Perfect timing too when I'm talking about this. But so it ended up where all of a sudden, like I said, because I was doing some cleansing and everything out there, and all of a sudden that's whenever, like, I can't even give you a number because it was too many. I'll put it that way. I don't know, like low hundreds, maybe. And again, I know that there's trigger words for everybody and everybody has a preference. And so that's where it's hard for me to speak. But again, I apologize because I know that there's trigger words. Some people prefer Native American, like the old school. Some people prefer indigenous. So again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything like that. I just don't know how to properly say it without getting anybody triggered. And I apologize again for that. But yeah, so they were all standing around but those were ready to cross over. And they felt really bad. And they were also guiding me, letting me know, like, you need to get out of here. Because, our brothers and sisters are doing some damage and it's only going to get worse. Because a lot of them were into the dark magic. And they did the rituals, cannibalism, things like that. And they're trying to really destroy those locations out there. When I moved up here, it's still near it, but it's not really, I don't think it's really classified into the Golden Triangle. I don't think. It might be. But this wasn't really a location where they were living at. It was more at the bayous, and the oceans and all of that down there. And so because they would hunt like gators and things like that. And that's exactly what happened, which I'll try to remember to tell you the story about the boat, but we'll see. And that's the bullfrog that I was talking about, and then coming up is the one that I was holding. And I was giving it some energy healing and then some water and things like that. So don't get me wrong, I do have supernatural, paranormal, dark type stories that I'm doing like right now, but I do have a lot of positive good ones, and that's where I fought really hard to get out of there, because it was like they were constantly isolating me, trying to keep me there. Same thing at the number 7 house. Same exact way as what was happening out there where I came from, where I grew up at and all of that. So, but I finally got out of there, and then I don't know about the property that we might be, or they are for sure moving on, but I'm not 100% yet. We'll go into that some other time, but anyway, you'll notice that how that picture feels a little lighter, but it still feels a little off. Like I said, even though I'm doing energy healing and things like that, it's just the area is so bad out there. And it had to be for sure because of the visions, and I'll try to remember to go into all of that too, along with other mediums, my teacher, my friends, and everybody that we were working on it were able to read into it. And basically, it was Native American burial grounds because it was a war that happened out there between the French soldiers and them. And so I will go into detail about that. But it's really hard. You know, if you know anything, you don't live in an area like that. Like, that's sacred grounds. They should have never built that neighborhood out there. And it's like the more and more and more angrier they're getting. And that's where I'm getting at, because that's exactly where they were guiding me. Because when that experience happened with the werewolves and all of that, it ended up where the natives there, they were just like, you need to leave. You need to get out of here. Not only is there going to be floods and things like this going to be happening, but you need to get out of here. It's only going to get worse. And so they basically are like using like the weather and, you know, things like that, because they can manipulate the weather too. People will be like, how can that happen? There's no way. Yeah, they do. Sometimes you'll even feel it. Like, you'll just feel like something's off. I don't need to be outside. And then here comes this lightning strike. You know, yes, our guides, you know, warn us ahead of time, this, that, the other. But there are times where it's like, you can feel when darkness is around and something's trying to harm you at the same time. And it's just like, uh-oh, you know, and then all of a sudden here's this lightning striking nearby. So that's just a quick little example. But yeah, so they were pretty much clearly letting me know that they're trying to ruin that area out there because of what has happened, how disrespectful people have been, this, that, the other. On top of the elementals, the nature spirits, are like, that was like their area. Because I'll have to explain it, and I'll kind of show a little bit of that. Because like my property was sitting on a lot of elemental portals, like different type of doorways and things like that with the elementals. Now there was good ones, but then there was also, it turned into bad ones too, because again, with the land being tainted and what ended up happening, and then you have dark magic on top of it. It's a whole mess of things, including there used to be devil worshippers that used to go into the cow pasture out there. And like I said, it's just one thing after another after another. And that's when I was finally being guided recently. I'll try to see if I can remember to post that video too, if I remember. But I did make a video. It's an episode, I think, type on my paranormal channel, or a paranormal YouTube channel, where I was pretty much talking about a recent cleanse that I had done out there. Now, I wasn't there. I was here, living in this location. And I was astrally traveling there, or whatever fancy name you want to call it, astral projection, this, that, the other. There's a bunch of different names. And so I was doing the work here, but me and my guides were over there doing the work. So, like, my spirit was over there, in other words. And finally, the Native American that I had seen, it would always pester me. He was mean, mean, mean. He was ready to cross over. And I was just like, whoa, what is going on? Like, why is he wanting to cross over? And then all of a sudden, other ones that night, that same exact night, are crossing over too. And I'm like, okay, something's going on here, because either something's getting worse and they're needing to get out of there, or because I'm thinking it's part that, because especially whenever this frog looking being, I don't know how to explain it other than that, it like stood up like a human, but like frog looking. So I'm assuming more of a reptilian type extraterrestrial, maybe. I think it's still more with the elementals, actually. All of a sudden he was like slammed to the ground. And, like, blood was coming out his nose and stuff. And I was like, uh-oh, that's not good. And then it stopped. And I was like, okay, could y'all please help him? Like, I don't know if he was good or bad or what. I know y'all know, like my guides, please help tend to, however you need to tend to. Because I don't know if he was about to flip out and do something harmful to us or, so I don't know. So I just trust because they know more than me. I'm just kind of like in there a little bit. I'm just a conduit, I guess you would call it. So, but yeah, so a lot of them were crossing back over into their realm. And I'm like, this is trippy. So why all of a sudden, And that was before I found out that I might be for sure moving up there and all of that too. So, but like I said, they're definitely trying to cause harm to that land out there. Not just that land, but like those towns. Like they're just done. Like they're really trying to cause harm. So, I'm trying to, like, I might be forced to moving out there still. Until my dad, it's his time, unfortunately, because his health is not doing good. So I might still be forced to moving back out there. And, I hope not. The only thing I can do is just try to, put up as much protections and things like that as well. But then again, you don't want to like harp on that because then you can really create that you need protection. Because like things will go out of whack and get crazy and, but you can't really say that too much, especially with it being a Native American burial ground. Because again, that's a sacred land. You're not supposed to be on it. And on top of with it being an elemental, nature spirit type grounds. So sort of in a way you kind of do have to, put up protections and, things like that. Because like one person will try to say, no, you don't, you'll create it. Another person will say this, another person will say that. But coming from there and living over here and remembering and all of that, like daily, I would have to like smoke the house out like Cheech and Chong style. Like it would literally be saged with almost a whole bundle just for it to not really feel peaceful, just enough, I guess you could say is really the best way to explain it. Like it just, like I said, it was very, very complicated and you're not supposed to live out on something like that. And so, but a lot of people are not aware of that kind of stuff. And then the ones that are, they're like, well, but it's already a residential area. What do you do? How do you move from here? Especially with the economy these days. Oh my gosh. Anywho's, and so, what do you do? And it just really depends. But in situations like that, yeah, I would definitely say continue to cleanse and do what you got to do to try to make it the best that you can. All right, so one of the areas that I had saw them at, as you can see in the picture, this is what we used to ride around in. But we were stuck. and like, I knew, like, I could tell near the end that it was just on that verge of getting stuck. But it was like as if, which I know they did, they were trying to stall the engine out, even though everything was going fine. But they were still trying to stall the engine out, just like that experience I had in the boat, which I'm going to get there in a minute. And they did the same exact thing by stalling the boat out and making the engine smoke. And we'll get there in a minute. This one, they were trying to stall the engine out to get us purposely stuck. Because it was steadily going. Like I said, there was no trouble, no complication. And then when that happened, I was like, man. So thankfully, my neighbor has one as well, and he helped pull us out at that time. So it ended up where you see how high the water was. And it was crazy. But like I said, we were going through it just fine. But before all of that, that's how I knew there was some Native Americans out there in spirit, because I was seeing them hiding out in the trees in this area, as well as the cow pasture. And so maybe at some time I can get some video of it. it'll be quite a while before I do, if I do get to again, or if I come across some old videos or anything that I can find to show y'all. I will definitely do that. And, but yeah, so, they're not happy. Like I said, one bit, they are not. And they were in the same type of stance, in a hunting type of stance. And I'm like, I'm human. Why are you trying to hunt me? And that's when I first, like, when I saw them out here like that, I already knew. Because from the boat experience, and when people had shared with me the local article, as well as there's some statues and stuff, which I'll have to share that as well, of some information about them and everything too. Some of the local, and then I think some of it was throughout the state, not just local. So, yeah, I didn't know about it until the boat story, and that's what we're going to go ahead and get into. So, I already knew, like I said, why they were acting like they were cannibals. The boat thing happened where when we would go out there as a kid, I never, ever, ever liked it out there. And we would do tubing and things like that, but there's gators and stuff out there. And that's whenever I was on the tube, and probably the same exact area that I'm going to get to in a minute to tell you about the story. Probably the same exact area, because I'm pretty certain, I'm pretty certain. Our boat did the same thing. It ended up stopping. And I was stuck out there with a gator and stuff. My mom was like, Sammy, hurry, get the boat going, Sammy. And so she's trying to be as calm as she could, but, she's letting him know, like, look, he's like, I know. And so they're trying to be calm, and I didn't know what was going on at first, but then my brother, of course, he likes to pick too much, and he was just like, a gator's coming your way, ha ha ha, and I'm like, the hell? Anyway, so when I found that out, that freaked me out. And I'm like, oh my God. And they were like, stay still, stop. And because they were getting near me with the boat and everything. And so they finally got me in. But it ended up getting really close to me, though, they said. And because I was just trying to just ignore it as best as I could and stay as calm as I could. And it's one of those situations where it's like, I love gators and everything, but not in a situation like that, where I'm the dinner, But, so, yeah, I know that they triggered the boat. And again, that was before I really tapped into mediumship and, things like that. So I didn't know what was going on and everything. I just had the feelings and all. And so, later years, like way later years, because I think I was probably maybe 12 years old or so then when that encounter happened. And then I'm in my lower 30s, I think. Whenever we ended up, this wasn't too long ago, but again, I'm in the boat, and this wasn't my boat though, this was my friend's boat. They had bought the boat, and we were all, pretty much using it and stuff. And so we go pretty much to the same exact area, and then all of a sudden the boat stops, it starts smoking, and then I was like, no, and then that's when they started pointing out, which is kind of weird, but that's the exact area where, for some reason, a lot of gators love that area. And they were pointing out, like, there's a lot of gator traps out here, we need to get out of here. And I was like, yeah, probably. And especially because people, they get weary, and they're like, oh, what are you doing near my traps, So it ended up where, thankfully, well, what happened is that happened. The boat smoked and turned off. We finally got it going. We got past it, but then we had to, unfortunately, turn back around, and we had to go back to the same area because there was no way out of that. And because, where we had parked at, we couldn't got around back to where we had parked at. So it ended up where we came back through, And the same exact thing happened. Smoked and stopped, and we got it back and all that. Well, finally, I had seen what had happened. So the first time that it had went out, the engine went out and smoked and all that, right before that happened, like a few seconds, I was just trying to tell them, I was like, hurry, hurry, y'all. Because I'm watching all these Native Americans, like, in the water, in the trees. Like, they were really in hunting style. Like, they were really... like, all I could see, like, when they were in the water, like, literally just their eyes. That was it. Just their eyes and the top of their head. With their feathers and stuff. The other ones were in the trees hiding, peeking out, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Why are they trying to hunt us, Like, they're acting like they're cannibals or something, Because, again, I didn't know at the time. I did not know about the article or nothing. And that's whenever I finally made a post for a local Facebook group at that time. And then, thankfully, somebody had shared the article about it. And then I had found later years some statues about it. And I'm like, really? It's not called statues. It's like a proper name. I can't think of it right now. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like that's, wow. Like this really was a thing. Like they really were cannibals. Like that's how they were acting, And then, like I said, later years, like what with the, that, what we were in and that we got stuck in, and my neighbor had to get it. I can't say the word because my little man's sitting beside me right now, and if he hears it, he knows what I'm talking about. So I've been trying to avoid that at all costs. But I wish I could describe it. But anyway, so that then I had already had that boat experience. And then, that's when I knew them, when I had saw them out there at the cow pasture and all of that, along with that area that we got stuck at, I knew. I was like, okay, and they're trying to cause harm again. And like they do, they really want to cause harm. And, but anyways, so the location basically that this is at is actually very, very close to the location of the bayou that we were at in the boat, if not actually the same exact area. And so I basically grew up right beside that area where, like I'm talking about, from the boat experience to being stuck with the, ATV type thing experience. I really think that cow bayou is together right there, and that's the exact location that they're from. So that is part why I experienced a lot of what I've experienced. As far as the plaque statue things, these two, if I remember correct, are not local. The last one, I think, is local, which you'll see that in the pictures. You'll be able to read it. You can pause it. I did it for 10 seconds, so hopefully it's easy to rewind or whatever that you need to do. But the next one coming up should be the one that's local in Orange, Texas. And that's where, because I grew up in Bridge City, and so that's right beside Orange, Texas. Now, the fun part about this picture, this is the mobile home, the backyard, sort of facing the cow pasture, but it's got some of my neighbors that live back there. Along with the Time Warner building, but some of that is the cow pasture where all those trees are to the left side. That's where the cow pasture is, where I'm talking about that vision, and where I'm talking about the boat incident that I think is the bayou part has to be on that land back there. And then along with all the Native Americans that I had seen too. So it has to be tied together like that. Now, the reason why I'm showing this picture of the grass so tall is because it was like pretty much every time I went to go cut grass, my lawnmowers would break. And so some of that is elementals because they're trying to protect the yard or protect the, like I said, because it was very, very intense elemental portals and things like that. And so there's a lot of light ones, but then there was a lot of dark ones, I think, because of the land getting tainted and all that kind of stuff, so it kind of turned darker. But that's why my grass would constantly get so tall. Like, it was, my dad, he had a riding lawnmower, and then we had the push mower, and It was just constant breaking down. And it just, like, you couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. And then all of a sudden the next day it would just like work just fine. And then all of a sudden it tried to break again. It's like, what is going on? So I had the toughest time getting the grass cut out there. In fact, since moved on this property, I don't have that issue whatsoever. Like, it's not constantly, like, it never breaks down on me or anything. And what's funny, but what is actually funny is it is electric, so it's ran by battery, and so it dies really quickly. So they're probably draining the battery quicker is what they're doing than usual, because I know it should last a lot longer than what it's let me do. But other than that, you know, it's not breaking down or anything like it would with the other ones. And so I was always having the toughest time trying to keep it all, you know, clean and nice and everything out there. But I do like to let it grow a little bit for the pollinators too, like the clovers and, you know, some of the wildflowers and stuff during the seasonal change, because it helps with the wildlife, the ecosystem and all that kind of stuff, you know. And so that's the reason why I don't let it get that out of hand, but I do let, you know, as long as I can, as long as it's, you know, because some of those flowers sometimes are just real short. You know, it could be a week worth, could be 2 weeks worth. Like the vine, the little small purple flower vine ones, seems to last a few weeks. And they absolutely love that. Like all of the pollinators love those little purple flowers. But it's a pain in the butt to clean up, especially when it dies off and everything. It is, it's annoying. But again, it's worth it because it helps, you know, the pollinators. And especially like out here in towns like this, especially with the neighbors and everything that's trying to keep it like overly cut, like almost every 3 to 4 days. I'm like, could y'all stop, please? But anyway, that's them. That's what they like. And maybe you prefer that too. So, but like I said, I do like to help the pollinators as best as I can, especially in these type of areas, because like I said, they're really struggling even more these days, and from the pesticides and, you know, all the stuff that's been going on. And so I really try to help them the best that I can. And especially with the help of the elementals and the nature spirits and things like that too. Like the more that I work with them too, and work with them with the land and everything, the better. And that's the issue too, is at that time over there, I was trying to work with the land, but it wasn't as much as I do now. So that could be some of it too. I do miss that property because of the elementals and, you know, those type of realms and the angelic beings and all of that. Like, it was just so beautiful out there for that. But like I said, it's just too tainted. It shouldn't be lived on. It should be respected. And so I did try to do a lot of cleansing and everything, but I did at least get the ones that were ready to crossovered. Like I said, it was hundreds of them because I was working on the town and everything. But there's still a lot more out there. Like I said, they still want destruction and everything. Kind of like how you feel in this picture where the vibes are just, you know, like I said, it's just, you're never going to be able to get those lands completely cleansed unless they actually all were just like, you know, hey, you know what? I'm turning a new leaf. I'm ready to cross over. I highly doubt that. They're going to have, in a situation like this too, you have to find, and I don't think there's any of them living anymore. That's the issue as well, because you would need to find their, I think they said the proper way to call it is not tribe anymore. It's called, reservation or, I'd have to relook into it again. Because again, I'm trying to be as respectful as possible. I do not want to disrespect, and cause any triggers and things like that. But yeah, so there is a proper way to call it that way too. You don't use the word tribe no more from what I hear. And again, a lot of people might be used to the word tribe too, and they might not like the new word, you know. So it just really depends, you know. Like I said, somebody's going to get triggered, unfortunately, and I don't want that. But you know, I'm doing the best that I can. And so So basically, you would get someone that is, I don't think it would be the medicine person. It would be one of them basically that would help to work on the cleansing. Because it takes their kind to be able to do that. This is not something that I or anybody else can do. It's a specific way that it has to be done. And so hopefully you're in a situation, if you found that out, that you have indigenous grounds or Native American grounds. If you're in that kind of situation and you need some cleansing done, for sure look up a local that, like I said, I can't say tribe. It's another name they use. But look them up. Make sure it's the same exact one, because you don't want to get someone from a different, and that will just make things big time worse. So, but that's the way that you would do to get it cleansed. You would definitely not look up a medium and things like that. So, that's how you would do that. Now, as far as out there, again, there should be none of them left. I think they unfortunately got wiped out with the war and everything. And so, unless some of them was able to get away, I don't know. But yeah, so that land out there really just needs to pretty much just be nature. I give it back to them, because they are relentless. They're like, this is my land. Now, the one that I did finally cross over, though, he was ready. He finally was ready. But like I said, there's some reason why he was ready. And it could be something darker there, more sinister, is what I'm kind of questioning, because it's still in that house, or a mobile home. In fact, in that direction down there. Like, that's the patio that you're seeing, but it would be further down. And on the left side of the picture. But for some reason, I know it's a he energy, is still back there. The other ones has moved on, crossed over, all that, except for that one. So there might be some more, but I know for sure that one just feels like it's getting worse and worse. And it could be a different type of elemental or something. I don't know yet. But that's a view from my porch, looking towards like my dad's house right now, direction where my parents and I grew up with my brother. But my dad's house is not too much in the picture. Like where the quartz crystal is, on that left side right there would be the house. And then that's like the front yard right there. And so far, a lot of these pictures is before that vision that I had got. Because I think my mom was still alive for sure with these. Because when that happened, it was after she had passed, and it was after a certain point after she had passed. And so that's where I'm saying it's like it seems to be holding true, as far as it just continues to get worse over time. But during these pictures, like, you could tell it was off. Like how I said, you just don't live at those areas. You just respect those areas and you let it be woods. But I do have so many wonderful memories on that porch with giving readings and things like that, because it was so fun. Some energy healing and teaching and all of that. It was cool. Okay, so this picture is one of the bedrooms where that being was. And a lot of these pictures, it's more residual feeling. Some of it is current energy still. Because this bedroom, one of them, like I was just talking about recently that I had crossed over, was in this bedroom. Now, there was a whole bunch of different type of portals in there, including elemental type portals. This is the one that had that one that, if you've ever heard me talk about, that ooey gooey looking type portal that was real thick black, and it was like a sticky substance look, and it would like slowly stretch out and move and everything, like really slow. And but what it had is it had trapped a fairy. And she was probably about like 3 foot tall or whatever. And because there's different size fairies. and I'll be going into that in a minute because that's going to be pretty cool with some pictures coming up. But had her trapped in that room, and then when she came out of the portal, when I unleashed her from it, when I was helping to do some cleansing and things like that there, I was able to set her free. And I think at that time, too, that was when my friend and teacher, as well as my other friend, we were working on it, I think, together. And I think that was the one that we were working on together. Yeah, because that's right. Because she kept saying, and if I'm finally realizing now, because my teacher friend, she was like, I keep seeing a little girl there. And she's like, I don't know why, but I keep seeing a little girl. And she was like, she's at the closet area. And then finally, that's when I had finally seen her. And like I said, she was a fairy. And that's when she realized it too, that, oh my God, like I said, she was about 3 foot tall. So you would think she was a little girl because she had that little girl look, but she was a fairy. That's cool. Yeah, I just realized all that now. But anyway, so we helped to get her unstuck from that ooey gooey thing. And then I'm watching it literally trying to slowly creep its little ooey gooey arm thing, trying to catch the fairy, but the fairy was gone. She was gone within an instant, pretty much. And she went through this wormhole that was outside my window. And so I'm going to point that out later if I can remember, and I'll say, remember me talking about the fairy and the wormhole? Okay, the pictures should be coming up pretty soonish. So I should be able to show you that. And this was the property that I learned that whenever animals are trying to evade, like go into a certain area and it gets really quiet and the animals are just like not there no more, usually that's a sign that that area needs cleansing of some sort. And that's where I had learned that out there, because these birds and everything kept purposely trying to go around a specific location out there where I had put the food at, and they would hurry up and grab it and hurry up and take off. And I'm like, that's unusual. They wouldn't just sit around and eat a little bit and, things like that. Like, they were just, like, really trying to hurry up and get out of there. And once I did some cleansing and stuff, that's where it also started cleansing up that area where they were eating at. And then they started going there, relaxing, eating a little more, and, things like that. So it definitely changed, and it brought a lot of birds back to the location, too. And so that is the location of where I had learned that at as well. Now, this picture back here, that's the back side of my mobile home. That also had a wormhole that I had to close up as well. And and also there was a guy leaning against that tree as well. Coming up is a picture going to be the opposite side of it, on the front side of the mobile home. And you'll see where the tree is, or this tree. But you can kind of feel a little bit of the presence. Like I said, most of it is residual, but now, because of the cleansing that I did. And I can actually tell that they did, because right there, that bedroom, well, you just see a piece of it. That's the bedroom that you saw that picture where all my cleaning supplies that I had bought, that's that room. And so that's the room where the fairy was as well. And so much work I had done out there and everything, which also helped me learn for my course and things like that, because of my own personal cleansing experiences and all of that, along with this location that I'm living at now. And I'm also getting more cleansing experience through the new land that we're going to be at, along with other locations that I've worked on for friends and this, that, and the other too. So thankfully I've been getting some experiences under my belt for sure. And so coming up pretty soon is going to be, like I said, the opposite side of this picture. This is the back side, and now you're fixing to see the front side. That's the front side, and that's that tree. And so same thing like my brother's, it had a guy also leaning against the tree too, like a cowboy. So it makes me question, is that some sort of tree elemental? Is it the same one? Is it a different one, but that's what they do? There's something with that, and I'm going to figure that out. And when I do, I will be teaching it. And so if you know of something about that already, too, definitely let me know. Like, some people might be like, oh, that's Green Man or something, because of the trees and all that. I don't know. Just definitely let me know what you know. The wormhole portal is on the opposite side, where the right side of this picture, and where, like, it's more wall, that's where it was. Not where the window is and where the tree is, the flower tree. It's to the side of that on the right side. It was this swirly, dusty, light-colored dust looking thing, and it would just swirl and swirl and swirl. And that's where, when she flew out that window there, the ferry, that's where she flew out to, was to that wormhole thing. And so I think that's part of the elemental wormhole that's out there. I miss that area because of the trees and everything. Like, I loved the energies of the trees and stuff out there, and that's where I grew up at from 3 years old up. Not that mobile home, it's the house behind, like where I'm standing at for this picture, the house would be behind, is where I grew up at. And like there's a picture I showed earlier where like the sun coming through the tree, and I said, oh, well, that's where my parents' house is, that's where I grew up at. That's that side. So, but anyway, but 3 years old and before, I grew up in Orange, where my grandma's house was and everything. So, but yes, I've pretty much been stuck down here. And so I've had a few chances out. And so, but yeah, anyway. But yes, I miss those woods that was across the street too, because now they're homes, like tiny homes. And I didn't know at the time what that was. I was just like, why are they making such like tiny homes? Well, I didn't realize what was going on. And when I started learning about tiny homes, RVs, and things like that, I was just like, oh, wow. And 3 or 4 years later, now it's like, yep, now I gotta live in an RV or something like that, a tiny home, RV, something. Because, yeah, the way that, like over there, that property, the land tax is normal, or at the moment it's normal, but it doesn't even go over 1,000. Over here, what's insane is for the past few years since I've moved in here, it keeps going up from 4,500 to 6,000 now. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. And then we got the house insurance. It's like about 3,500 or something like that. So basically it's near 10,000 and not even an acre of land. I'm not going to sit there and throw out money like that when I could be living somewhere like over there where my brother's going to be living at, where it'll have an actual water stream that I could step out to and enjoy nature and everything. That's the one thing I will miss, just like over here in this picture. It was really hard for me to leave because I was feeding the birds and stuff, but then when I did leave, I did start slowing down on feeding over there because the cats were like starting to get the birds, and I was like, okay, no, I can't do that. And so I ended up having to stop feeding them. And then when I got over here, I've been feeding like the birds and the raccoons, the coyotes and armadillos and everything, raccoons and blah, 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 everything that comes out here. And so it concerns me that whenever I do leave, because same thing like over there, like how I was just talking about, that I had to learn to cleanse, like you see in this picture where that fence is, that's where I was feeding them at, the birds. And so, as you can see, like this is the fence where I was feeding them at. Well, I had also wisteria, like overtakes it now. I have roses there. I have all kinds of flowers. So like basically it does not look like that no more. I even planted an oak tree, which is getting so tall there. I'm like, oh my gosh. I wish I could watch it, grow. Just like the trees that I had planted here. I'm like, man, I'm going to miss that too. Everywhere I've lived at, I've planted trees and then I miss it growing. I'm like, can I please live somewhere where I can actually watch the tree continue to grow? Because I would absolutely love to do that. But at least I've, put shade or whatever, hopefully some sort of joy for some others' lives. And so, but yeah, so that's where I was feeding them at. And then, like I said, they kept trying to avoid that area, and I was like, something ain't right. And that's where I had learned about cleansing and this, that, and the other, and figuring all those steps out, and then they started coming right back. And so that's the location of the story of where I first learned it at. And like I said, over here it was the same thing. We get here and it was just so eerily quiet. Like it actually freaked me out. Like I heard no birds. I didn't hear no wildlife, no nothing. It was so silent. And it was just very eerie. And we had the banana spiders and other big, wood top spiders and stuff they had nests, or not nests, but they had their webbing and everything throughout the yard and the backyard. And I'm like, that's weird. Well, and I noticed even at the other neighbor's house too, like on the electric lines and all kinds of places. And I'm like, that's weird. I guess they just, naturally grow here like that. Well, it's because people ain't feeding the birds and stuff. And so once I cleansed it, closed all the portals and everything out in the woods here and all of that, and did a lot of work out here cleansing wise, then same thing like over there. It, they weren't trying to avoid going to the bird feeders and having to go a certain way. And because they were doing that here too, I was like, that's unusual. And then I started seeing the portals where they were avoiding at. I was like, oh. And then, so like I said, I did all that cleansing, and then, it's been very lively. You hear every morning, you hear the birds and other animals and stuff too sometimes. And I'm like, man, that's so beautiful. And so, again, like I said, I'm going to be scared that, when I leave here that, same thing like over there. But they'll have to hopefully find somebody else that'll feed them. And hopefully somebody else will. But getting it cleansed and everything is highly important. So if you're experiencing something like that, and whether you do this work or yourself or not, you can get somebody to help you, cleanse and everything to get it to, whatever that needs to be done to get the wildlife to be able to go out there and everything. Because sometimes that's the problem. You can put the food out there and everything and have everything set up right. The water, the this, that, the other. Everything set up perfectly. And either they still don't go out there, or they go in so quick and they're trying to hurry up and get out of there. So, pay attention to that kind of stuff. And like I said, you can definitely get that work done and, bring the wildlife back. Because it also helps, like if you're gardening or farming and, things like that, you need that wildlife too. And so when it's like that, that's going to be a sign that your crops probably will not grow abundantly. It's going to have a harder time or struggling or something like that. And so I'll eventually have a course out for that because I'm working on that too, but it'll be out one day. Anyway, so as you can see, this is also the other side of the room. And that's the room that I'm talking about. I wish I had, the picture of me with my dad has Panther now, but Panther was a baby. He's on the pillow back there. Very tiny looking little thing, little black thing. And then that's my two girls that I had. Big Girl and Angel. Big Girl's the one with the glowing eyes, and then Angel's the white one. They were both German Shepherds, both sisters, and but Angel turned out white. And so, but yeah, I miss them so much. And when I had to move here, they weren't able to come with me, so we had to give them a home. And then I think it was partly Pretty Kitty, my orange cat, and I think my two pretty girls there, they might have kind of shooed off Panther, because I remember the last few days Panther was really starting to swat at the dogs as well, and Pretty Kitty was getting a little feistier, and so I think they might have both shooed Panther off, and then I had to keep going outside and feeding. I think it was like during the summer too. Constantly putting water out and feeding outside of the fence at my parents' house. And then finally we were able to get them in my parents' house. And so, but yeah, it was a mess. That part of the room is not as bad as the other side. The other side is the side that I'm talking about, that for some reason, I don't know if it's still entering through portals, if it's because we were guided, it was like the metal of the home, like the guy got injured and got killed or something, but I don't know if it's him. What I'm leaning towards is an attachment or something, maybe to him. I don't know, but it's definitely something. And you'll see coming up in a picture You might be able to feel a little bit of the residual energies as well as some of the current energies in there. But that is at the mobile home where I came from. And I might have to go back to that property depending on my dad's health and depending on other factors as well. So we will see. But in time, I'm for sure going to move up to West Virginia if I can, because a lot of stuff is up there that I need to be at. Here's a picture of the other side of the room, but you can barely tell. The picture's stretched and looks wonky. Makes me even look wonky and pretty little panther wonky. But anyway, that side of the room is where it definitely hangs out at. And I just wish I had better pictures. Maybe, like I said, in upcoming video for this, I'll have a better picture. And that's where cute little panther was laying on the pillow. You could tell conked out and everything. Very comfortable. Coming up is a picture of when I had this male attachment. This was before I had figured out what attachments were and, things like that, like to us, not just to objects and things like that. And so I tried to cover it up as best as I could with all these little bling blings on the pictures, peace and love, but that only helped so much. And, but if you're sensitive and to sensing these energies, you'll sense the residual of a male attachment to me. That's in that room that I was just talking about, that, bedroom. Now you're going to be able to see it without all that bling bling and love and peace and all that. And so you kind of have an idea, like I said, if you're able to tap into those energies and feel the residuals and stuff as well. That wasn't really a good picture, but, did the best I could. That was, I think, either right before or right after doing a reading, I think, too. Something like that as well. And the reason why my hair is like so blonde looking at the tips right there is because I was trying to bleach it and then I was trying to do like the ombre colors. That part is in the kitchen of that mobile home. It always had wonky energies there, but again, the energies are nothing like what it is now over there. Since, like I said, whenever they were guiding me to the destruction and everything that they're trying to do out there. And so there was something to my right on the picture, and you'll see it kind of sort of in the next few pictures, but I fully dyed my hair, or tried to dye my hair blue here, but that didn't quite work because I didn't know you had to bleach your hair. My hair was already dark, and so, yeah. But anyway, I was having fun. I was excited. And like I said, so it was something weird that was going on that right side. I felt it even when I was taking the pictures. I was trying to ignore it the best that I could. But I guess it was just kind of like, hi, I'm here too. Do you see me? I had to take a moment to eat. And while I was sitting there eating, that's when I realized, hold on a second, because my guides were guiding me. They were like, you do realize that the gators were there when you're in the boat for your boat experience. And you do realize that gator almost got you. So the point of why they stopped the boat is because they wanted the gators to get you so you'd be, and basically departed. And in their realm to play with me. Probably try to use me as a sacrifice, even in spirit or something, is what they were probably had in mind and intended to do. Same thing whenever, like I said, when I went back there years later, same thing. They literally stopped the boat right where all the gator traps were at. So, it's like, yeah, we're going to literally become gator bait, and then we were going to become theirs. Now there was this specific night where these bamboo sticks floated up to me. Well, it wasn't a night. It was during the daytime. And that's when I first encountered, the guy that he's basically one of my guides in a way. He is, for sure Native American. He was really tall. Well, I'm tall too. I'm probably like 6'1" or whatever. But when my dad, grew up with him, he was near 7 foot tall, so height wasn't really, you know. But anyway, so this guy was probably about my dad's height, and he had just one feather, and he had that leather strap thing that he, wore to cover bits and pieces down there. And that was it. That leather tan skin thing or whatever you call it. I don't remember the proper name. Well, anyway, so he was basically telling me he was a hunter, gatherer, things like that. And then while he was telling me that in his native language, again, it's more of a telepathic, knowing type of thing. All of a sudden, to confirm it, this washed up beside me right when that was happening. And I was like, wow, if this is not a sign. And so I was like, I'm going to go ahead and keep it. And I was like, I wonder if I can make it grow or something. I can't remember if I ever tried to replant it or what. But so that confirmed that he was around. Well, I had another reading from somebody, and they kind of described him. They were like, you'll see him darting around. And so he's always been with me, because even when I was a kid, it was like darting around big time. I would constantly see that. And they do say that when you're starting your mediumship and things like that, that sometimes, you'll see them from the peripheral, the corner of your eye, whatever you want to call it. And it'll be like gray shadows and this, that, and the other. And so, but that was his way of letting me know when he's around. And he's continued to do that ever since. So he's been around me since, I would say, at least my preteens, maybe a little before that. And has always been guiding me too. And so, but it's wonderful because I finally went to an area he would have been at, which is Bailey's Road or whatever we call it out here. And, which is the Calbayou. Yeah, it's not part of the ocean or anything. It's the Calbayou, basically. I was trying to make sure. I was like, well, yeah, but then the hurricane came through and the ocean and da-da-da. No, that's further south. But anyway, but all of that area is just like full of water and stuff. But yeah, so he confirmed that he was around guiding me with, this. And I'm glad that I still had that picture. I ended up tossing it out. I was going to hold on to it. But now that I look back at it, because at that time I was doing a lot of cleansing and I was feeling like more and more anger and stuff towards, this bamboo stick and stuff. And I'm like, what is going on here? And so I thought after a while, like, I needed to just throw it away. Like maybe it was actually bad luck or something, when it actually wasn't. It was just the other guy that was there obviously didn't like my guide, and he didn't want that there no more. And so, then anyway. But, that's things that you learn from, like I said, even when you do work in the past, you still learn things from the past in the future about it. So, don't ever think that you just learn everything and then it's done and it's over. No, it's going to continue. And that's the beauty of it, actually. And so that's some of my crystals I had out sunbathing and getting some moonlight charge as well. I should have all of them. I just don't know exactly where everything is because I have so many. But I'm going to be using it in my garden. And so that's what I had in mind over there. And then we end up moving over here. And I was like, well, I'll do that over here. And then that never came about. And so I was like, what's going on? And that's another sign too. When things like that happen, it's either not meant to be or it's going to be meant to be in the future. And I think that's what it was for me, because I need to move to the proper property for me to do this at. And especially up there, oh my gosh, amazing energy is what it seems like. Seems like. We will see. All right. So this is at my parents' house. I wanted to be able to have some of the energies, like I said, at my parents' house. to be able to show you. Now, it's kind of hard because, again, I'm going to have to go through pictures and stuff and then be able to kind of show y'all from the past. And so that should be literally New Year's night. I don't know what year, at least 2000 and, maybe 2014 through 16, maybe. Something like that. And so, yeah. And I decided, I was like, you know what? I have to put some firework pictures. There you go. Which adds to it. But yeah, that one I thought was really pretty. I love the way that the colors were and all of that. That is the one amazing thing about being out there, is the firecracker stand is literally down the road from where we live at, like down my street. Like, not down the road that you have to drive and you got to drive about 5 minutes or whatever. No, like literally at the end of my street. It was so cool when he first built it there. I was probably about 11 or 12 years old. And it was just a tiny little building. And then through the years, it's grown ever since. So, these pictures coming up now. Okay, this is a vulture. And I kept having these, like, connections with vultures. And I didn't understand why. I was like, that's weird, you know. I was like, it's unique. Most people were like, ew, gross, get away. But for me, I was just like, wow, it's like a very powerful being. Like, it's so huge. And I got close to some before when they were eating on an animal. And I just did not realize how huge they actually are. As an adult, I was like, whoa. But anyway, so I kept connecting with them and I didn't understand why. Well, this day, or this specific day, as you can see here too, I'll have to zoom in again. On the bottom right side where those white looking lights are, that's some trolls and stuff. And you can actually see the beings, like if it's zoomed in. But I have to zoom in a certain way for you to be able to see it. But anyway, so you'll notice a lot of colors of like blue, teal, purple, green, pink, red, colors like that in the trees and the bushes and the grass and everything. Some on the fence. This specific day, 2 beings were coming to me at once for a specific reason. And it's because that day was literally the full moon, and we were connecting with Goddess Oshun. And so her spirit animal is vultures. On top of that was the day that the fairyology course got published. And so I had both of those that I was doing that day. And they were both being confirmed that day too. And I was like, wow. And then there's like other pictures too besides this. Like this was that day. Now the other fairy pictures, orbs that you'll see, because it's fairy orbs, is what they are, those colors. And that's the smaller fairies. Remember how I was talking about earlier that their fairies are different sizes and all of that? Well, these are the smaller ones. Like you would see like Tinkerbell and, things like that. But this is their orbs. And so if you see colors like that on your pictures, then that's usually an indication that fairies are around. This area, like I said, is full of fairies. But you know what? My brother, when he passed away, I was 10 years old. He was 9. And it ended up where he ended up attaching to me. And he attached to me because he was trying to be protected from that being, the devil type entity that was at my parents' house. We grew up with that thing. And so it had like a boy and a girl. And like one of my friends, how she saw it as, is the way she was describing it, is it had this little boy and this little girl, one, let's say boy on the left side and right side of the girl, they were like attached to like the string. And this being was playing with them like a puppet. And it would order them, to do things and stuff. Well, it ended up where one week, like the first night Michael, my son, was slapped in his back, And I heard little kids laughing, and I woke because I was really sick then. And I heard the little kids laughing, and I'm like, huh? And then I was told by other people that stayed in my brother's room, because that was my brother's room that I had stayed in at that time. And it's funny, when he moved back in too, they ended up staying in my bedroom. And I was like, what the heck? Well, anyway, so I'm hearing these kids and everything. And then Michael just screams. And I'm like, whoa, what the heck? Well, I was guided to look at his back, and it was just like this kid's handprint was like very red handprint on his back. A few days later, same thing. Jasmine wakes up screaming, and there's a kid's handprint on her back, but she was sleeping in my parents' bed, which is the room that was right straight across from my brother's room where I was staying at. And then from my bedroom, it would have been a little catty corner, so then that's where it would have been at a little angle. It's hard to explain. But anyway, so like I said, my brother was trying to hide from that. So he attached to me. When I was living here at the mobile home, that's when I started learning about, removing spirits and entities and beings and this, that, and the other from you. Because I was taking my mediumship course. And so when I'm sitting there releasing them, all of a sudden, he was like one of the first few. And they warn you, they're like, when you're doing this is serious. You're going to get emotional. And some people end up, choosing to not release them and, things like that. But I knew that job had to be done. The more that they stay attached to you and things like that, the more your vital life force is being drained. You can get sick. There's a whole bunch of things to it. So I didn't know, my brother was attached to me. Me and him were like inseparable. Like, he was my brother. I went everywhere with him. He went everywhere with me. When he was a toddler and I was still a toddler, because we were just a year apart, I would literally climb in the bed, his crib and everything, and try to hang out with him in there. And so finally Mom said that, because one time my leg got stuck in there, and then it took a while, they finally got it out. And then another time, that's when I accidentally had smothered my brother and he wasn't breathing. So they had to lock the door, and I could imagine with how close that me and him were, that how hard that had to be on me, because especially, when he passed, it was very devastating. Like, a lot of my friends were like, you have never been the same, since your brother had passed. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I don't know, what to do about it. But so, like I said, I didn't know he attached to me. Well, the whole point of this, because I'm going on about the fairies, you're fixing to see why. So anyway, let's just get fast forward. And that's where I had realized he was attached. And so I was like, man, no, please, no, I started crying. I was like, are you sure, Bubba? Are you really ready? And, he was ready and everything. And I was like, man, do I have to do this? But I had to. Just like the ones previously before him, I was already, even though I didn't know them in person, but I knew them in spirit. So it's like, it's like a part of you missing. It's really hard. But it's not missing. It's actually very helpful in the long run. Trust me, this has to happen. But anyway, so it was really hard, but it had to be done. And I cried mostly through it, but we did it. And he crossed over. And then, of course, years later, I had to do the same thing when my mom passed. Like, she came, like, I was sitting in the kitchen. I remember that day. It was a beautiful fall day. Like, the temperatures were starting to get cool. So she waited a few months after her passing. Because I told her, and I tell everybody that too when they pass. I'm like, just let me know when you're ready, and then I'll help you cross over if you need that. And so, I had to do the same thing with her. Well, one of my friends that I was going to start kind of dating, he ended up passing away, and both of them decided to do it the same day. I was like, thank you. You know how bad this hurts. Like, I grew up with them. They were my childhood friends and stuff too. So that's another reason why it was hard. Besides the fact that I've always had, interest in them and everything. But anyway, so they decided to do that the same day. And I'm like, fine, whatever. So of course I'm crying through it and stuff. But yet I'm excited and happy at the same time too. And because I know what's to come, for them and for me and everything. And so they both cross over. But my mom knew, because we'd always said, whoever goes first, if you could help, even though she never admitted it, like she would, like if you were to have a conversation with her, and she would, depending on how you would answer and things like that, then she might go along with it and open up. But most times she was not going to open up. She'd just be like, oh, it's interesting, but I don't think they're real or whatever, kind of thing. So, but she did tell me that we talked about it, whoever goes first or whatever, guide each other and let us know what it's like on the other side, give us some answers and stuff. And so I believe she's been doing that. And I know she did that when she crossed over, because that was the very first time that I've ever seen anything, because it was always just white, like a light. I would never be able to see beyond that. And I've never heard anybody seeing beyond that, because they always taught us, when you see the light, let them cross over. You'll see them smiling or whatever. That's the indicating that they're crossing over. And they usually do that. And so that's how it always was. Well, finally, when I saw her, I saw where she was going, and like this little girl, I'm almost wondering if it was that fairy one. Same color hair and everything, but she helped, we opened up the light, and I peeked my head through, and it was like I was in the clouds. And I looked down, and I'm seeing this beautiful cobblestone town. And everything was like cobblestone. And so I was like, that's neat. And I just remember thinking, wow, thank you. Thank you for letting me see this, because I don't think we're supposed to be seeing this far. And so she looks up, and then she smiles a little bit, and then she waves, and then shows me the rose, because we had 3 roses on her casket, and her casket was beautiful, like a metallic light pink, with roses and everything on it. It's not metallic pink, it's a certain name. I have it on my headphones too. Like my Beats Solo or whatever one. It's a specific pink color. It's not a hot pink, it's not a neon pink, I just don't know why I can't remember the name. But anyway, and so that happens. Well, then the first time, that's when they started guiding me. I started seeing others. The werewolf, don't worry, I'm going to get back to the story in a second, but the werewolf guy that I crossed over, because he grew up with me, long story with that. I'll maybe try to go into detail about that, but because I was struggling. I'm like, are you going, where are you going? Because I'm thinking, okay, the other side's just about the same probably, maybe a little different or whatever, maybe different location or something. No, it was he had to go into his realm. It was like an elemental realm, his realm. And so it was totally different. It was beautiful forest and all of that. And so it's he's still, it's almost like he wasn't crossed over, but crossed over at the same time. Because it's he's going back there, but yet that's still where he's at. Almost like he was stuck here in this realm, but needed to go back there, is what it seemed like. And more than likely, that was probably the case. He probably wasn't crossing over. Because a lot of these elementals and things like that, they're in a different realm like that than us. And so we just share this, I don't know which words to use. But anyway, so to hurry up and get back to the story though, I just needed to let y'all know that, because a lot of the mediumship teachers, I don't know about now, but a lot of them were teaching, heaven and hell, and then real biblical. And so basically that's the only options. There's no realms, there's no extraterrestrials, there's no other beings, there's no other this, there's no other that. It's just black and white, and here it is. You know? And so, but that's where they were guiding me and saying, no, that's not it. There's a lot of different realms. Be open. Let them show you, you know. And that's where I had to learn that. Anyway, so basically what ended up happening is my brother crossed over. Few years had went by. I didn't see where he crossed over to because at that time, like I said, before Mom showing me that, and then after that I was seeing where they went. Before that, it was just a white light thing. And so that's all I saw with him too. And so a few years go by, and then that's when I'm doing the reading outside on that porch. How I was talking about that I loved doing the readings there, that I had good memories and all of that there. And while I was doing that, I started realizing, like, it started feeling like it was more to me, but I was like, no. I was like, I'm in the middle of trying to give a reading, and it was starting to slow down then because of the time of night, so there wasn't too many people on at that moment. And so I think that's where he took that opportunity and was like, okay, let me hurry up and do this now, because this is going to be the great time to get her to understand what's going on. And that's when all of a sudden I'm seeing like these mountains and these fairies. And I'm like, ooh, that's pretty. And there's like this lake and all of that. You know, it's really pretty and stuff. And so I'm seeing this in particular fairy. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Well, then that's when I started realizing, that's my brother. I was like, oh my God. So he actually incarnated or crossed over. Not incarnated, because incarnated would be like in this lifetime, which a lot of us can be elementals, which I'll go into that sometime too. If I do on this video, I do. If I don't, then hopefully it'll be on another video. But, or just ask me, you know, write a comment, say, hey, I'd like to know more about that. Could you add that in your next video, you know, and then I'll do that. Anything you'd like me to talk more about or to talk about, just definitely let me know. Write it as a comment, and then we'll go from there. And I'll try to see if I can squeeze it in the video, if I feel confident enough to talk about it, education, awareness, mentor, or whatever, you know, wise that you want it as. But yeah, so I was like, really? That's my brother? And then others were, you know, digging into it too that were online at the time. They were like, yeah, that really feels like him. And then we were talking about it and all that stuff. And it was so amazing because they were starting to see it too. It was so cool. And so I think part of the reason why that the fairies were getting so enhanced out there is because that's what my brother's spirit was. And so he was a fairy, and so he worked with the fairies. And so he was helping me with the nature and the fairies and all that, because that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to do a lot of cleansing and working with Mother Earth, and I was trying to help heal the land as well as the animals, all beings, all people. Not just for this location where I live at, but everywhere. You know, I'm trying to dig deeper into, you know, the work that I was trying to do and everything. And so I believe that's part why, you know, that happened the way that it did. And I'm so grateful that he confirmed that's who he is and everything. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. And so that's why, like I said, a lot of these pictures from there are like that. I'm hoping this will allow me to show all of this, because if not, this might have to end up in sections, but we'll see, because I am going to have to try to end it pretty quickly. I had other videos and stuff that I was going to do in mind, but I don't think. But anyway, so I do remember there's some other fairy connections out in this direction as well. Before, you know, he let me know that's what he was and all of that. But I remember when that tree was real little like that by the power line, and now it's so huge. But I loved how it did the heart shape there too. And then you got the sun, and then you got the vulture, and all the beautiful meanings. And so from what I remember with Goddess Oshun, with her spirit animal being a vulture, that she also was fertility, love, and I think there was one other main thing that she did. There's a lot of keywords and stuff that she did as well, but those two are the main things that stood out. I think she worked with honey as well, or people work with honey to work with her, as far as like an offering and, you know, things like that. I've never dug deep into that. I've never really sat down and practiced, and it's just kind of been, I guess, more of an energy type of thing. And like how I connect with spirits and archangels and, things like that. It's just kind of more of a connection like that. Not so much I'm going to do, from the book, what the book says, A to Z, and I'm going to light this candle, I'm going to do this, I'm going to, here's this offering, and here's this, and here, I've never done it like that. It's just been pretty much, if I sense them around, and I sense their guidance, and I thank them, like that kind of thing. Like I said, it's a lot like, how I communicate with spirits, or extraterrestrials, elementals, or archangels. And so now you know that, that's pretty much what I've done. Like I said, I've never done an actual all-out, ritual and things like that. And when I mentioned about the ritual earlier, it's like done in a different way. Sometimes she will use like candles, crystals, things like that, but it's not in a setting of like what I just described, from A to Z, and you do it this way and you do it that way, and But anyway, so I'm just more of like, everything's connected. There's a lot that I'm not even aware of. It's just put me in a more expanded, open-minded point of view, for sure, about love, like unconditional love, divine light, things like that. But I don't have a set, this is what I believe in, this is how it goes, Like I said, I'll work with Mother Earth, I'll work with the universal energies, I'll work with archangels, I'll work with, So anything that I feel that is divine and light, I'll work with that. And if I make sure it feels pure and that it is working with love. And so these next pictures, I was taking pictures of a butterfly, but I didn't realize that it was actually capturing fairy orbs. So again, you'll see like the greens, the pinks, teal, purple, blues, those colors basically, like little circle orbs. And that's basically the fairies. And so this butterfly was catching my attention, and they were trying to capture my attention with, the elementals. And so now it's just kind of, like I said, the pictures of that, and then it's just kind of the pictures of the butterfly, because not every one of them had the fairy orbs in them. And like I said, fairies can come in different sizes, different shapes, different this, different that. But these are small, more of Tinkerbell size, like I said, type orbs is what it is. That's how we're seeing it, is through orbs type energy. And these pictures coming up are definitely going to show some of that in some of the trees, and then some of the fence, I think, as well. But I think it's mostly the trees, if I remember correct. And I think that one was a baby squirrel. That might have been the one where I had to rescue that baby squirrel because my cat was going to get... Well, yeah. Okay, so I saw it, and I was just like, what's going on? And I didn't see it after that, and I'm like, that's weird. And then I went out there outside my gate, and then I looked on the ground around the tree, and then that's when I saw it on the ground, and I immediately picked it up, and it immediately went to, like, under my arm and everything, just about, because it was, like, trying to, like, hide and everything. I was like, oh, gosh. And so I was always cuddling with the little, cute little one. But we went to the store, like, I had described it, and I think they said it was a she, after all. And she was doing well, and then I think after about a week, all of a sudden it was just like something just went wrong. And I'm like, this is not good. So we ran to our local pet store, and they were not supposed to let me know any type of information. And so they helped the best that they could, because I wasn't a rehabilitator and all that kind of stuff. And so, which upset me. I'm like, I understand, because they're worried about laws too, because they cannot get in trouble, And so they were, really, really, like I said, scared to help. So I could only get so much. And so I ran back home. I hurried up and got the supplies, ran back home, and I held the poor baby like the last 5 minutes, and then that was it. So I was like, man. So But that's what's upsetting, because it's like, okay, not everybody can have a rehabilitator license. If they're in a situation like this, and let's say the rehabilitators are full, or whatever scenarios that we have around here that's full, we need to be able to take care of whatever is in, or I don't like to use the word possession, but whatever that we're having to take care of at the moment. Let us know what to do before, let's say availability comes or whatever. Just let us be able to do that, and know that, yes, we will have to give, as soon as availability comes up, give it to whoever, well, not whoever, because I don't want to see them, so I'd rather a rehabilitator be able to take care of them or whatever, I would do that, but I refuse. Absolutely refuse to get any. Now, this is because my son is nonverbal autistic, so I have my reasonings, I have my experiences, and I have what I've went through. I will not get any shots. Will not. Sorry. So, to have that type of job, it sounds like that's what's required. That's what's crappy, because people like me really have the heart and really want to do it. But we're not able to because of these limitations. So, anyway, I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers. I'm not trying to cause any triggers. I'm the one that has to live with my son daily. And he was talking before this. He was doing all kinds of things. And, I have to live with this. So, anyway. But I have to spend money that I don't have, that needs to be on survival and living, to work on our naturally recovering autism, which is expensive. So, that's where, at the beginning. All right. And so I'm going to, I guess, I'm not really in the video soon, but it will have to be soon, though, because it's already getting near 2 hours. Let's hope it'll even upload. Like I said, I might have to do it in parts, and if it'll let me, and then I'd have to redo this whole thing again. So I guess I will have to wrap it up pretty quickly. This picture is basically when the start of my spiritual enlightenment path, pretty much soul path, I guess you would say, that I was taking, or being awoke up to, or whatever. Before this, I had seen a phoenix cloud, and of course, y'all know what the phoenix is. So, basically like a rebirth, awakening, this, that, and the other. And so that was the start of my journey, was seeing the phoenix cloud. And then that's when I had seen this. Then when I was seeing this, I was seeing the Ascended Master Jesus. And so I was just like, wow. Because when I was younger, I had grew up Catholic. And so it was like really deep Jesus connection, Mary and the archangels, that kind of thing. And so I had already been in with those vibes of them. But the older that I am, because I remember when I was like 7 years old, when I was about 7 years old, that's when I was sitting on the swing, which would be near this location, actually. This was at my parents' house. And so I remember when I was sitting there, I was hearing very clearly from my guide. They were like, you're going to learn the real spiritual path. And I was just like, okay. And I always remembered that. And so I used to think, Catholic and this and the other. Well, when my brother passed, like I said, I was 10 years old. We ended up stopped going there and all that kind of stuff. And one thing happened after another and this and the other. Anyway, so I never went back. So I only did a little bit of CCD and a little bit of learning. So I'm not no expert as far as religion. No, don't. No. But what I'm saying is that I did have, when I would connect with Jesus or, Mary and this and the other, I remember I would connect with them energetically and stuff. And so that's when, like I said, when I would see this at this time, when I was waking up to the spiritual enlightenment and all of that, which it happened out there, actually, that's where They told me. In fact, it was the same area when I saw the phoenix bird too. The cloud and everything. I should have that picture somewhere. That's when they were telling me, at that swing as a kid that I was going to, solve this. And then that happens when I'm older in the same exact area, which is trippy. But anyway, so that's why, that wasn't new to me. So that was Jesus, Son and Master Jesus. Sorry, I've been going on a lot. But I wanted to be able to have a more positive, like I said, I will have episodes and videos and podcasts and this, that, and the other, where it's more positive in nature and not so much just, here's some bad experiences I went through, blah, 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 There's a lot of great experiences too, and those are meant to be shared as well. And so I will definitely be doing that. But yeah, so that's pretty neat that, I'm thinking about it right now and I'm like, yeah, that was the exact area that they were telling me, that was going to happen. I was like, oh, and so I'm hearing YouTube other picture people coming up right now. That's when I was at the apartment.
They're able to make money. That I'm like, yay.
It was
maybe
like
I can
the
do
most
the same.
beautiful, angelic feeling, and you can feel it in that picture.
I can provide something
that
educational, something entertainment,
a lot of bad
or
stuff
whatever,
there too. And that was actually
that's what I was
some of the war area. They had like
little did I know, it does not work that way.
Different things out there that was from the war.
So I was like,
when they were using
I was hoping that it would help me cover some of the costs and stuff. Or maybe if I had a Patreon,
other neighbors,
maybe if I did
at
this,
that same exact time, literally heard a cannon go off.
So you cannot. It was
a residual of a cannon going off.
Anything online. I even tried GoFundMe.
So loud.
This, that, and
but anyway, so
we're getting no help.
Those energies were wonky there too.
I have to use.
And that's where I was living at whenever the Native American
survival,
where I was talking about
I can't work.
He showed me that he was a gathering hunter,
autism,
as well as
it is what it is,
Japanese.
And so I decided,
since
it's like that, I'm just going to continue to do
because he was
videos,
also showing that he was a gatherer hunter, but he also played music with it, and
whether
so
I
he
get
used
help with it or
bamboo
not
to make the instruments. But anyway.
It's going to be.
This was an archangel. I can't remember the full story.
I've had to come to grips with that basically. And
when I researched into it and everything,
pretty much
all pieced together and the colors and everything, I was like, wow.
Not really
I don't know if it was
hobby,
Archangel Ariel or one of those, but I know it was one of those really feminine feeling ones. And usually they're more unisex. I got a story about that. That's actually where me and Michael saw our archangels too. And with him being nonverbal, and especially at this time, he was not doing any eye contact and things like that. Like, he just was gone. He was doing, like, hand flapping, drooling, I had to hold him still to get any kind of pictures with him. Like, he was just all over the place, not focusing and everything. And you could call his name, and he would not even be paying attention at all. And so this was the start of the journey of naturally recovering autism, but it wasn't her program. I was doing isogenics and other things at this time. A little bit of Jenny McCarthy. So it wasn't much, but I was trying them. And I started seeing improvement. When I started that, I started seeing improvement. And from there on, he has not gone that severely backwards. But we can't get past this threshold if I keep giving milk or certain other products. And so I've got to really get hardcore on the diet, but it's really hard to do that. But I'm going to have to do that somehow. But yeah, I miss that energies. And then my neighbor, unfortunately, she did pass away a few years after I had moved from there. And, but yeah, but these were definitely beautiful energies and stuff. I'm just hoping that I'm able to show all these videos that I don't have to make it in sections. So we're probably going to find that out. But I'm going to go ahead and end it because, like I said, I don't know what's fixing to happen. It might let me upload it. It might not. It might say the file's too big, so we will find that out together. But yeah, more podcasts to come. I have a lot of different things I'm going to be talking about. And so I greatly appreciate your love and your support and the sharing, commenting, liking, and everything that y'all do. And I'm wishing you and your loved ones wishes, goals, dreams, and your heart's desires to come to fruition with ease and grace. And I can't wait to finish these videos. And yeah, I will see y'all then. Much love, everybody. Bye for now.